There's nothing quite like a family argument over money, right? It's something pretty much all of us have been through. Well, today, we're diving into a story just like that. A conflict that kicks off over a simple budget, but ends up revealing some really deep truths about trust, assumptions, and all the invisible work that goes into running a home. And this is the spark that lights the whole fire. A visiting aunt, Narmada, just happens to overhear a chat about the monthly budget. And her reaction isn't just surprise, it's a full-blown accusation. That one question just poisons the air and plants a serious seed of doubt about her niece-in-law, Sonia. So here's the number that blows everything up. The aunt claims that her household, which is actually bigger, runs on just 9,000 rupees a month. Now, when you put that next to Sonia's 15,000, that is a massive 6,000 rupee difference. Suddenly, Sonia doesn't just look wasteful, she looks dishonest. And just like that, the battle lines are drawn. With that suspicion just hanging in the air, the family decides, okay, it's time for an audit. After the aunt leaves, that doubt she planted has really started to grow, and they turn to Sonia, demanding an explanation.
15,000 rupees. This is the number right at the center of the storm. For years, this was the amount Sonia used to run the entire household. But now, it's being put under a microscope. And frankly, she's being treated like a criminal in her own home.
So her husband, Nachiket, he grabs a pen and starts doing some quick back-of-the-envelope math. He jots down what he thinks are the only major expenses. The obvious stuff. Vegetables, milk, some snacks for their kid, and a little buffer for guests. His quick total? It comes out to just 9,800 rupees. And there it is. That gap, that 5,200 rupees, becomes the smoking gun. It's all the proof they need of Sonia's bad management. In their minds, this isn't a mistake in their math. No, it's hard evidence that she's throwing away a huge amount of money every single month. Now, after years of running the house with no problems, Sonia is, as you can imagine, incredibly hurt and frustrated. She's been backed into a corner, and she decides she has had enough. So she proposes a pretty bold experiment to finally get to the truth. Her promise is simple and it's direct. She says, for 1 month, I will write down every single expense, no matter how tiny. This diary is going to be her ledger, the tool she'll use to prove, once and for all, where every single rupee is actually going. So the family agrees, but of course, there's a catch. They tell her she has to cut costs, and the first order of business, according to her mother-in-law, is to stop buying vegetables from the local guy and go find a cheaper source. This sounds like simple, pretty practical advice, doesn't it? Go to the wholesale market, things are cheaper there. But this one little piece of advice kicks off a chain reaction that ends up teaching the family a huge lesson about how money actually works in the real world. Because see, to get to this cheaper market, Sonia has to take a rickshaw. And the round-trip fare, 110 rupees, which of course she immediately writes down in her diary. And this just perfectly illustrates the huge flaw in their whole plan. This mission to save, 30 or 40 rupees on vegetables ended up costing them almost 3 times that much just to get there and back. It's a classic case of being penny-wise and pound-foolish. The cheapest price tag doesn't always mean the lowest cost. And the problems didn't even stop there. The cheap vegetables, they were often pretty bad quality, dirty, sometimes half rotten. And all this cost-cutting meant less variety, way less flavor, and you could just feel the family's morale start to drop. I mean, nobody wants to eat bland, boring meals day after day. Okay, so finally, the month of forced penny pinching and careful record keeping is over. The family gathers around, the diary's on the table. It's Judgment Day, and they're ready to inspect every single entry and finally decide if Sonia's been wasteful. And what that diary showed was everything their simple little calculation had missed. We're talking dozens of small, unpredictable but totally necessary expenses. A pain relief balm, a new phone charger for dad, photocopies, fixing a broken pair of glasses, a new pencil for school. These are the invisible costs that actually keep a household running. So when Nachiket adds it all up, the final number is just stunning. Even with all the cost cutting, the cheap vegetables, the boring meals, the total expenses for the month came to 15,400 rupees. That's 400 rupees over the budget she was being accused of wasting. Well, the family is just stunned into silence. The diary proved Sonia wasn't wasteful at all. But there's still one big question hanging in the air. How on earth does their aunt manage on so much less? There's only one way to find out. They pick up the phone and call her. And here it is, the big aha moment. It turns out, when the aunt heard the words kitchen expenses, she was only thinking about things literally used in the kitchen: groceries, cooking oil, gas. But for Sonia's family, that same phrase meant the entire household budget. Bills, school supplies, medicine, everything. They were arguing about two completely different things the whole time.
And then the aunt drops the final bombshell. Her 9,000 rupees, yeah, that was just for the kitchen. When you add in all her other household costs, her actual monthly budget is somewhere between 20 and 22,000 rupees, way more than what Sonia was working with. And then, in this amazing moment of irony, the very same person who started this whole mess becomes Sonia's biggest defender. Once she understands the truth, she actually scolds her own family for being so cheap and for putting Sonia in such an impossible situation. You know, this story is just such a powerful reminder of how easily simple misunderstandings and unchecked assumptions can cause real damage. It really highlights why it's so important to see all that invisible labor and all those little costs that go into a home, and to remember that true value isn't always about the lowest price tag. And that really is a question worth asking ourselves, isn't it? Whether we're talking about a household budget or just our own personal spending, what are those small, forgotten costs? Because recognizing them, that's the first step to really understanding where our money, and maybe more importantly, our effort, truly goes.